Here.
Nikki.
Here.
Sarah.
Here.
Linn.
Here.
Bradford.
Here.
Tatum.
Here.
Lemmings.
Here.
Bass.
Here.
You have before you copies, a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So be.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You have a copy of the treasurer's report. Do I hear a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
We'll let our clerk catch up. It's been motioned and seconded to approve the treasurer's report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You have before you a copy of the appropriations analysis. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I move we approve. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve the appropriations analysis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're up to the County Road and Equipment Report. You have before you a copy of the 100-day report. The only thing I would add to that is that yesterday and today we completed our 16-hour MSHA, which is Mining Safety and Health certification training. We have 8 hours of on-the-job training, which will occur very soon, and things are moving right along on that aspect. Any questions for me?
When do you plan on opening up the crusher?
May. There was a little bit of delay in receiving the crusher. There's been some bad weather up north where the actual crusher's coming from. So it put us back a week or two, but we're still in the certification process anyway, so that worked out just fine. Any other questions? Lucas?
I believe I handed out our stats for the month. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to address that. And if not, I'll give y'all just a second to look at it. I'm gonna pass it out. I got one other thing to address this afternoon. I'll get out of the way.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody have any questions about the statistics?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
On the second page on the patrol activity log,
Yes, sir.
the citations, 111, we had, 259 traffic stops, so it's about half of what you stop you give a ticket to?
Yes, sir. We do issue a lot of warnings, just verbal
Okay.
warnings, and we also do have written warnings that we issue as well.
Okay. Now, if you give a written warning, what does it really mean?
It's basically a verbal that we can document, like if, I've done it in the past, if you document a written warning and you still have continuous issues with the same person, same vehicle, same area, you can document that you're actively working basically that probable cause to make stops in that area.
And it
Builds-
makes it easier for another officer too if it's already written up better.
Yes, and also it can build towards a case of noticing different activity in different areas in the county.
Okay, thank you.
You kind of build that up.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions on the statistics? Okay, I'm going to move to the next paperwork that I handed you out. This is coming from the jail standards coordinator, which is Sterling Penix. He come up and visited with us last week And we spent a whole day with him going through our facility and going over some ideas of what direction maybe we need to start heading towards for our facility to make some upgrades and also some ideas of how we can get to that point. From the best of my knowledge that I could get from Mr. Sterling was from 2013 to now, there's been an issue, and a lot of those issues will be touched in this paperwork. I would encourage you to take it home and look over it, and it'll show you what we've been battling since 2013, and we've not made any kind of adjustments to it. And it's to the point now where they're asking us to have a plan by the end of this year. And that meaning that we don't have to be active in doing something different by the end of this year, but we do have to implement a plan. And in talking to him, there's 3 other counties that I'd like to take a look at and maybe go visit in the process of all this. But in the plan is to set up an advisory board and to allow people from all aspects to come in and put their eyes on what we're looking at, our average intake, our average daily population over the past 6 years, and see what's best and recommend to us what's best for our county, for our sheriff's office, for our detention facility. And you know, we're not asking for anything specific right now, but I think what I'm coming to you to ask is to see if I could get y'all's help in putting an advisory board together. And what I would like to do is, since it can't involve a quorum court member, being as they're going to recommend to our quorum court. So, but I would like to involve y'all by, if y'all would reach out to 2 of your constituents in each of the jurisdictions. Most of the other advisory boards that he's been telling me about consist of 15 to 20 people. So if we done that here, that would end up being 18 people. Then it would include myself and the county judge, which would not necessarily be bringing recommendation to the quorum court, but we would be standing in to answer questions or the goings-on of our county if they had questions for us in different aspects of the advisory board. But I think that's something that I would like to reach out to each quorum court member and see if we could put that board together as soon as possible, and see if we could get them to start meeting and start getting an idea to wrap around what we've got to do here. Since 2013, we've outpaced our 25-year-old building out there. And we've got 25 more years or 30 more years in ahead of us that we've got to look at. So we've got to look at a very large picture here and make sure we make a good decision and make sure we decide on a good recommendation how to move forward. Is it reconstruction? Is it remodel? Is it add-on? Is it new construction? I mean, that's what I hope for that advisory board to bring to us. So that's what I'm asking for you guys and gals to help us with, is maybe to put this advisory board together with maybe a couple of constituents out of each precinct, or not precinct, but your jurisdiction. So, has anybody got any questions about that? There's a lot of information in that packet of what they turned into us. So I wanted to share that with y'all and let y'all kind of read over that. And I'm open to anything. Comments, suggestions, questions, or anything. So
I do have a question. On your facility capacity, on male 38, female 16, okay, average daily population is 44. Are we out of compliance when that shows up, or how does it?
yes, we're overpopulated.
Okay.
By the square footage that we're supposed to have.
Does
Per
the state
inmate.
write us up in any way for that, or
Do what, Gary?
does the state write us up
They're on the back, or in some of these sheets, it shows if we're in compliance, out of compliance.
Okay.
There's some documentation in there, and they do show that we're out of compliance on the sheet, or they'll check in compliance, out of compliance, whatever.
So it's a tool to help us go in the
Yes.
right direction.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Just out of curiosity, there's two things that they were out of compliance. I realize this is from 2018. But these are pretty big things. Does the facility have sufficient personnel on duty at all times? Is that still an issue?
Yes.
And as well as the inmates being separated by class? Is that, I mean, I'm sure that has to do with overpopulation.
Yeah, it's still an issue with the classification. They want you to set in the jail, they would like for it to be separated out in classification where you have misdemeanor, felony, you have state inmates, or you have federal inmates, you have male, female, obviously, but in order to separate all that out, with our population, what we're holding on a regular basis, it's impossible. We don't have the room.
What about the personnel? Is that something that you're working on?
Well, I mean, the personnel is something that I can't change. I mean, it's set in the budget for our salaries for so many employees. So we'll be out of compliance again this year because, we're set where we're at.
Thanks, it's an excellent report.
Thank you.
Lots of info.
Are there any other county elected officials that would like to address the quorum court? Do any of the quorum court members have any questions for any of the elected officials that are present? Are there any other county boards or county entities that would like to address the quorum court? Okay. Benita is here from Media 3, and she has just a very small public service announcement.
I just wanted to let you all know that if you are active customers, most people do not realize you have to request a credit either in the local office or the home office when we have an outage. In February, in the first part of March, we did have an upgrade that created an outage in 2 areas for almost 3 weeks. And so the home office doesn't do a blanket credit because they don't know what happened at Mr. James' house. If you'll contact me at the local office or call the toll-free number, just let them know what happened at your house. They will get that done. Sometimes it might be the next billing cycle, but I just wanted to make sure that you all knew that. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. First ordinance. Belong to John Bradford.
It being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance 2018-59, the annual operating budget for 2019, to increase the projected revenue and appropriate $1,310 into the detention center budget, $1,418. Whereas the detention center has received payments for lawn care in the amount of $250 from Choctaw Voluntary Fire Department and $1,000 from Culpeper Volunteer Fire Department, along with $60 for sale of junk steel from Treasure Auto, and whereas this money will need to be appropriated in the detention center budget to help with expenses as follows: $1,250 into 1,418-2002 small equipment, and to create a new line item number 2007, fuel, oil, and lube for the $60 from Treasure Auto. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that $1,310 be appropriated in the detention center budget as stated above. I move this ordinance be approved.
Second.
It's been motioned and second to approve this ordinance. Discussion.
Did we not have a line item already on fuel? Not detention, in the sheriff's office?
Yeah, in the sheriff's office.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Holt,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
2019-16.
The next ordinance has been pulled. And the next one also. Okay. Which brings us up to Brian Tatum.
All right, being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an emergency ordinance to be entitled, an emergency ordinance to close the Holly Mountain Fire Department and consolidate with Burnt Ridge Fire Department. Whereas the Holly Mountain Fire Department has come to the Quorum Court to say that they want to close the Holly Mountain Fire Department and consolidate the district with Burnt Ridge Fire Department. And whereas the Holly Mountain Fire Department has had downfall in membership and finds the department unable to meet the requirements to keep the fire department open. And whereas the Holly Mountain Fire Department and the Holly Mountain Property Owners Association had a public meeting and voted to consolidate the Holly Mountain Fire Department with the Burnt Ridge Fire Department and have provided a copy of the minutes from said meeting. And whereas the Burnt Ridge Fire Department, Fire Chief, and the Burnt Ridge Fire Department Board of Directors have agreed to consolidate the Holly Mountain Fire District back into the Burnt Ridge Fire District. They have also provided a copy of the minutes of said meeting. And whereas there is a need to preserve public health and safety and provide fire service to the Holly Mountain community. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court, Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, the Van Buren County Quorum Court hereby declares that the Holly Mountain Fire Department is closed and the Holly Mountain Fire District is now consolidated with Burnt Ridge Fire District. Section 2, this ordinance being necessary for the protection and preservation of public health and safety, an emergency is hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be enforced and shall take effect upon passage and publication. I move that we approve as written.
Second.
It's been a motion and second to adopt this ordinance. Discussion.
I just want to say a few things about it. Because, you know, I've been involved in fire service for 30 years now. And, you know, it hurts me to close a fire department, and I know it does the chief. And there's a lot of people that, you know, these guys, they go out and fight these fires every day. They go cut your loved ones out of cars, and they don't do it for pay. They do it at 3 o'clock in the morning. They get back home, they change clothes and go to work. They don't get nothing for that. So if you're out and about and you find yourself, you know, able to assist these fire departments and stuff, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a chief of a small fire department, and this won't be the last one that comes to this table. Because we are losing members left and right. And there's a certain amount of members you have to have and a certain amount of stuff you have to do to keep it open to meet the state requirements. There's always something for somebody to do. You don't have to go inside the structure, you know. If it ain't nothing but help bring water or do something. These guys are, you know, they don't do this for the glory. They do it to help their community. And there are a lot of people that says they don't have time to do it or can't do it. Just think if everybody decided they don't have time to do it. So that's all I want to say.
I will add that, I mean, not toot my own horn, just to say that I am a volunteer firefighter at Shirley, so it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. There's always situations where a woman is needed in wrecks with babies or distraught mothers, so if you're convicted to do it at all, just do it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Holt,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Tatum,
Yes.
Lemmings,
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
2019-17.
Next ordinance is sponsored by Virgil Lemings.
Be enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance 2018-59, the annual operating budget for 2019 to increase the projected revenue in the Sheriff's General and appropriate $2,300 into the Sheriff's Office budget, 1,000-400. Whereas the Sheriff's Office received a state grant in the amount of $2,300 to be used for equipment, and whereas the grant money needs to be appropriated into the Sheriff's Department budget 1000-400-3103, grants to purchase the equipment. Now therefore, be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that $2,300 be appropriated into the 1000-400-3103 grants. I move that we accept this written.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to adopt this ordinance. Discussion.
Sheriff, where'd he go? There he is, hiding in the corner. What grant did y'all receive? Just out of curiosity.
It was a DOJ leg grant, and Ms. Deb, my assistant, applied for it, and we received that. Come in. It's for body armor
Awesome.
for the deputies.
Awesome. Good job.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Holt,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Tatum.
Yes.
Lemmings.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
2019-18.
Be enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, an appropriation ordinance to be entitled, an appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance, 2018-59, the annual operating budget for 2019, to increase the projected revenue in the county general and appropriate $34,286.65 into personal services for the Treasurer's Office budget, number 1103. Whereas the Treasurer's Office is needing a full-time assistant, administrative assistant to help with day-to-day responsibilities and also covered during vacations, sick time, training classes, etc. And whereas the employee will be hired at $22,348.80 for the remaining of 2019, $15.52 per hour. Whereas the employee will need to be hired at a passage and publishing of this ordinance. Now therefore, be it ordained that by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that Section 1, 34,286.65 be appropriated into number 1,103, 22,348.80, number 1001 salary full-time, 1,709.68, number 1006, Social Security, 3,423.84, number 1008, retirement, 6,458.48, number 1009, health insurance, 3681, number 1010, workman's comp, 180, number 1011, unemployment, $7.44, number 1014, COBRA, and 121.60, number 1016, life insurance. Section 2, this ordinance being necessary for the protection and preservation of public health and safety, and emergencies are hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be enforced and shall take effect upon passage and publication. I move for its adoption.
We have a motion on the floor, and do we hear have a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and second. Discussion.
Where's the money coming from?
Yeah, I think we need to let her.
I talked to several of y'all one-on-one, and my office is actually run off of a commission. I receive 2% of all the revenue that comes through my office. I give y'all a form showing kind of what come in last year. There was $201,433 actually come in. The office expense and everything, the interest bond, or the interest, the blanket bond, the annex cost share, and all that's included in what I have to pay back to the county general every year. I I actually spent, or Kim did, because I'm new, it was $104,146 last year. That left a total of $97,000 that I had to turn back to the entities that I received that money from. That is money that could have paid for me an assistant. And that can be done the same next year. It's just paid back, like this year is in March. It'll be paid back in March next year. Now, I did turn over $32,836 actually went back directly into County General on March the 4th. So I just wanted to let y'all know we're the actual only office, treasurer's office in the state of Arkansas that does not have an assistant. There's always been one in there until about the last 3 years when Kim let hers go and didn't hire back. It's kind of crazy not to have more than one person in there to take care of our county finances. We need to really think about vacation time, sick time. I have educational meetings that I go to 3 and 4 times a year that I'm gone for 3 days at a time. We need to think about if something happens and I had to have surgery, or if I was in a wreck, what would happen to the county's funds? If there's not somebody that knows how to do the work to generate that money through the office, our county can be in a financial bind in no time. I mean, going to be in a situation. I just don't want to put our county in that spot, so I'm just really asking you to please think about hiring me an assistant.
That money that comes in your commission can only be spent by you, right? By your
Yes.
office.
It's spent.
You designate where that money goes.
Well, it's spent to run the office. Now, once like
But no other officer, the Quorum Court
No.
can't take it away from you.
No.
You have to spend it.
Right, it has to be spent or it's given back. And I give y'all a sheet on the, I think the second page. That's all the entities that I actually get money from. The schools, the fire departments, hospital, County General. There's about 50 or so of those. And that money has to be turned back from the people that I got that money from. So it's not like that $97,000 could go directly into County General.
And Misty, we met and you did a great job of laying that out, and I didn't realize how actually, it wouldn't cost as much to have this position as I thought it would.
Right.
And I think that it's needed. My concern is just the timing. I'm on the budget committee, but I haven't even had a meeting yet. And if this was at budget time and we could look at everything and make the decision then, and we could find the money, I would be for it. The other thing that I have is I just can't help but wonder, is there another department that we could appeal to? That maybe there is someone that's being underutilized in that department that at least we could have half time in there. I don't know if that could be more of an immediate fix until we could get to budget time. The other thing I worry a little bit about is this amount that's returned. I get that that's an excess in a way, but solid waste, just to pick out one, gets $5,600 back. And I don't know if that's in their budget. And Brian, you would be more, like, do they depend on that, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's all turned back, and it's all goes back into County General somewhere down the line. And my deal too is the, out of that, he's talking about it's paid by a commission. And it'll cost, my understanding is with the meeting that I had with you, it'll cost the County General around $16,000.
Around
$16,000 a year. And I'm right on board with Ms. Brown is that the timing is just not there. That's the whole thing. Do we think we need it? Yeah, I think we need it. But I just don't know if the timing is right.
Can I say something? I'd like to say that the position, the help in that office should have never been let go. There always needs to be 2 people in that office. It affects our office too. When we get to a certain point, we can't get our work done if we don't have a treasurer to sign checks. Now, whether y'all approve this one or less than that for someone, there needs to be a person in that office.
For those of you on the budget committee, I mean, we haven't even had our first meeting. Is there money?
The money that she's turned back last month has not been appropriated to go anywhere.
I turned back 32,000, what was it, 800? Directly to county general.
You said that we were the only county that doesn't have someone else. Are those all full-time positions?
Every one of them that I know has got at least one full-time. Some of them's got 2 and 3, and, you know, there may be some that's got part-time, I'm not sure. My only fear with the part-time is this job, and if I hadn't had a little bit of training going in, I could not have walked into that job and done it. My fear with part-time is you get someone trained and they're going to turn around and leave if they find a full-time job. So you're going to be training someone over and over, I'm afraid.
If they are hired part-time, they need to work enough hours to receive retirement insurance. That'll be one thing that will keep them here.
Could we, I just wonder, is there a department that has someone that is full-time? So they could stay full-time, but they split their time between 2 departments. And I'm not pretending to know that that is a solution. I just wonder, as a short-term fix, that way we could have someone that was trained. Because from an accounting background, there needs to be 2 people. I mean, you know, that could be a disaster. I agree with you. I think you need to, 100% the timing, you know, just trying to bridge a gap here. I don't know if there's any departments out there that has someone that's maybe underutilized that for the time being could fill in part-time. That way they've got a full-time spot to get us to budget time. I mean, I don't even know if that, you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to, and, you know, at budget time, I think this might be a whole different, I would have a different opinion from it.
And my perspective is, rather than it being turned down completely, I would rather see you get somebody part-time than nothing at all. I mean, I agree that there does need to be someone.
I think every one of us understand your situation, and we could feel for you, but we're just, with the whole county budget like it is, not knowing what we've got next year to work with, and are we going to start laying people off, or are we going to, I mean, we just took a cut in our pay because we got to have some money there, you know, and so that's where we're getting into the situation. I can see where you need it, and I think it's a great idea, but how do we sponsor and how do we make all these things happen when for everybody? And you know, is there a way we can get a lower pay? I see 1551 when you had an assistant, and then I see that a regular. Is that a regular payment we make? I mean, a budget, not a budget, but a allowance salary for individuals, or?
I think it's actually a little higher than some of the other administrative assistants.
No, this salary is administrative assistant pay. The lady that was in there before actually made a little less than this. And, I mean, you can go down, we can go down to $12. I mean, anything to...
We got to think about start shrinking this thing back. Somehow we got to get a hold on this thing and pull it back in, because we can't keep running wide open and spending money when we don't know what we've got, you know. And so that's where I'm at, and I would love to be able to help you, but I just don't know that I can approve, you know, with the way it is now. So.
And I did also, Misty, of course, we talked about it, but I did also call the Arkansas Association of Counties and talk to them about what other counties do. And they said that they're the one that told us that we're the only county that doesn't have an assistant. I think that was brought up before whenever was having someone else sign some checks or whatever, because that was discussed. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's about the money, right? I mean, that's where I'm at.
Is there anyone that's currently part-time anywhere that could be moved to full-time and just be paid a part-time salary out of one and their existing salary?
I mean, I'm not sure
I'm just looking at all options.
how that would be. But you're still looking at having to need someone in there more than just a few hours a week, you know. What are we going, 32 hours? Yeah, I mean, But I don't know that they could work 32 hours in my office and then
Right.
still work in that office.
Yeah, they wouldn't have to work that many hours, as long as they get a combined 31 hours, they're listed as benefits, as
Right.
benefits. And so, how many hours does she, Lucas, does she have to work for you? I mean, how many do you need, or is there?
I'd hate to say right now without discussing it with her
Okay.
and really digging into what all
Well,
she
let's-
takes care of for her.
Can we table this matter till we get that details worked out?
You can do whatever y'all want to do.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion, we table this till they have some time to discuss it.
I second it.
Because this is a very important situation. I see the importance of it, but not knowing our budget right now it alarms me.
When does that budget committee, when will that come into play? I mean, can you do an emergency? I don't know how that works.
And I know, it hasn't been my first one, we're supposed to be having one May 2nd, but I don't know that's more of a Brian question, and I'm not trying to pass the buck here.
May 2nd's personnel.
Well, we're gonna meet as soon as you're done.
Okay.
For just a few minutes.
Well, I guess I'll be there.
Because we're gonna tack on to you, but I don't know, I mean, looking at the finances and stuff, I don't know that that's, I mean, we can meet, real quick after May the 2nd, that's when they're having a personnel meet, and we're gonna tag along right after that, it shouldn't take long.
Yeah, Missy, we have, before any further discussion, we have a motion and a second on the floor. So, do we have any other pertinent discussion before we vote on the table issue? Okay, let's vote on the table.
Holt?
Yes.
Nikki?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Bradford?
No.
Tatum?
Yes.
Lemmings?
Yes.
Bass?
Yes.
Will be tabled.
Table till next month. Our next ordinance was sponsored by Mary Phillips. Do I have a volunteer that would like to read this ordinance? Bill Holt?
Sure. Being enacted by the Quorum Court of the County of Van Buren, State of Arkansas, appropriation ordinance to be entitled, appropriation ordinance to amend the original appropriation ordinance 2018-59 annual operating budget for 2019 to increase the projected revenue and appropriate monies into the following budgets for lawn care. Whereas the Sheriff's Office will continue to take charge of lawn care for the county building, but will need to cover their costs by charging each department a small fee, and whereas the fee is only to cover the fuel costs and employee costs, etc., due to the budget cuts of the Sheriff's Office. Whereas the appropriations are as follows: $520 for the community center, 1,000-111, 3,100, other miscellaneous lawn care; $900 courthouse annex, 1,120, 3,100, other miscellaneous lawn care; $520 safety maintenance for animal shelter, 1,123-3104 lawn care; $600 for health department, 1,000-300-3,100, other miscellaneous lawn care; $520 district court, 1,409, 3,104 lawn care; $900 library, 3008-600-3103 lawn care; $900 solid waste number 3009, 700, 3105 lawn care. Now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Van Buren County, Arkansas, that these monies be appropriated to the budgets and line items stated in the lawn care. I will approve this only for discussion.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and second to adopt this ordinance. Open for discussion.
Okay. Lucas, I'll have some questions for you. Okay, let me make sure I understand some things. First of all the equipment that you use belongs to the county.
The lawnmowers and weed eaters,
Okay.
in some way, form, or fashion, they were either donated, or the money was donated, they were purchased for, or they were purchased out of maintenance.
Okay. Now, is any of that equipment, are you signed for any of that equipment? Or does that belong to maintenance of the county?
Do what now?
Are you signed for any of this equipment on your inventory?
Am I signed for it?
Yes.
Yes, it's on the inventory.
It is on your inventory.
Mhm.
Judge, is that money used from your maintenance fund to buy those lawnmowers?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay, we need to know that. Because it's your equipment, unless you let him use it,
Right.
according to maintenance.
One
Okay.
of the lawnmowers were bought by the safety and maintenance department.
Last year, that was the John Deere.
Okay, all right. 'Cause I'm trying to straighten that part out, Lucas.
Sure.
The fuel and all that stuff, is that purchased through the barn, or is that, do y'all buy your own gas out of your money?
We haven't made it to that point yet, and I think that's part of the discussion that we were gonna get to, that I talked to Brian today about it.
Okay,
The fuel and maintenance on the vehicles, I've talked to the county judge about.
okay,
We are allowed to go to the county yard for that,
okay,
to use that if we need to.
all right,
But that does not compensate the fuel and upkeep of the truck that has to pull the equipment around to each
okay.
side.
So that,
So that will come out of
yeah,
my
truck
budget.
maintenance and gas and oil and all that, after the truck, that's all on you?
That'll be on me, yes.
Okay, as well as the trailer?
Yes.
That he tows, that's you guys, you maintain the
that's
maintenance on?
ours, yes.
Okay, all right,
Kind of a half and half,
Okay.
50/50.
all right. Now, what part of the budget cuts have you had to do to now say you need to charge these people this kind of money?
289,000 was enough cut for me
Well,
to realize that I need to start
Oh, I know.
not providing free services.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I publicly applaud you, because it was a tough decision that you had to make to give up that kind of money so we can make our budget.
I had to buy 2 employees out of my own budget, and the prosecuting attorney's office was generous enough to pay for the third one, so I didn't lose employees.
Yeah,
I can't offer free services anymore.
okay,
Unfortunately, I'm not trying to make a contractor's price here.
Yeah.
I'm just covering an employee that has to be with them at all times.
Right.
And also just cover our gas and oil and maintenance,
okay,
upkeep on our vehicles.
all right. And this is a break-even deal, because we're not supposed to be making any money? in the
Yes, because
county?
we had a contractor come out and bid each one of the areas,
Mhm.
and then I cut it in half.
Okay,
Half of the charge per mowing.
okay,
And this just adds up for 2 mowings per month for April, May, June, July, and 3 in August.
okay. And that includes the mowing and the weed eating?
Yes,
Okay,
it includes everything.
everything, okay. All right,
And Sheriff, on the, was talking about recouping the cost for your deputy. Explain to us how you're gonna do that, what you're thinking on that, because, and let me put it this way too, I did do my research. This is not illegal. Through the Arkansas Association of Counties, also through our attorneys. And because I just wanted to make sure everything was legit, how we do it. I also went back and, even though for the employee that usually does that, or the new employee that does that, I guess he did it last year, part of it. There's no descriptions on his job duties, so you have him, doing other things that's
Yes.
probably more important than mowing the yard right now. And so, explain to us how you would have to recoup your cost on that.
On the employee that I have doing that employee works a lot in our detention side and doing transports. If we have somebody at the hospital, is to go sit with them. We've got this employee for 8 months out of the year that helps us where we're lacking in our detention staff from earlier. He steps in and tries to fulfill a role there to transport and go. It also, in our federal transports, it takes 2 certified people, so that employee helps out in that aspect. So what happens when we pull him from there and put him on mowing crew for 4 months or 5 months, depending on our weather, then that causes us to have to bring in part-time, and we spend our part-time money on covering the transport stuff that he normally does for us the rest of the year. So it's just recouping that part-time money that we're spending there 4 or 5 months to replace him in our transport and detention things.
I have a question, and I may not understand,
Mhm.
and I commend on the budget cut and everything. My question is, and I may not understand, where I'm concerned is, was this a service that has been done in the past for free? Let's just say it was provided. So is this money already in a way in the budget? You see what was this, because I worry, for instance, the library. And then I heard, I'm concerned with that. And if this money was already, if the fuel cost money was already in the budget, it's kind of moving it from the same pot over. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? But I understand what you're trying to do, and that makes sense. I'm just making sure if I understand this correctly. Last year, were these costs in the budget or not? Were they already budgeted, like a fuel cost and everything?
It was just absorbed. It was.
Okay.
The sheriff's office absorbed it.
Did any of that come out of your maintenance budget?
I haven't looked back at last year to see. I would be speaking out of turn.
And last year, they were also operating off of $200,000 and something
Right.
more than what they were.
And so that was
this
just a
year.
straight cut, and I'm just trying to understand. So it was 230 something just cut from your budget?
289,000
Okay,
total.
just cut, okay.
Small chunk of it.
Okay.
Just stop more speeders, you can make that up in no time.
I think our statistics look pretty good.
Yeah.
You the next to
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Where's this money coming from? We couldn't find money to help. In the previous ordinance, where's this coming from?
Good question. Can't come out of
It's,
county general.
Honestly, a lot of it is you're increasing a credit to increase a debit, and it's simply a wash.
I've heard that before.
But does it kind of come out of these individual people's budget though? Like, in a way? I mean, because it's moving that, I'm just making sure I understand it correctly.
Right, the ones that are in county general, it's gonna be a wash. The ones that are not in county general, not so much.
And my understanding, Lucas, is you send out letters and they can choose, like, for instance, like the library, I think that they're having volunteers do it. So they get to choose, is that right? Or-
Yeah, we just sent out a letter of what we were offering and our price and what we were gonna have to charge.
So they choose if they
And we
want
let them choose whether they wanted to accept our services or not. And we thought that was fair. I mean, we explained in the letter why we were having to do what we were doing, and they had the choice. It was their option to take our service or leave.
So how many have opted to use? No?
I know the senior citizen centers opted to voluntarily do theirs, and we're still waiting on a couple of people to let us know. So we had a deadline, so technically we could say they opted out, but I hate to opt somebody out just because they didn't get a letter back to me. I'd rather call them again.
Yeah, because when we set our budget this past year, we didn't have these figures in there in courthouse annex, safety and maintenance, health department. We didn't have that in there for them to be pulling out, have their lawn mowed. So
I see where it's not it's not the sheriff's department, responsibility to take care of all these other people's, I mean, I see that.
And to keep the guys busy that are, need to be doing something, so I see the importance of that too. so.
Absolutely. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, I get
As far as you're concerned, you can tell all these people, hey, we can't cut your grass anymore, get somebody else.
Right. I mean, we give them
They
an
can't get done
option.
for that.
Yeah.
Well, and also too, and I was trying to think what I was gonna say where to go, is you no longer use trustees to do this.
No.
You use 309, so with that, you gotta have a full-time employee, certified employee,
We
correct?
have a full-time certified employee with them.
Previous years, was it done by trustees?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a change in
Where's your-
309, okay.
Well, your trustees are your local people that have been sentenced to serve whatever their sentence may be, 30, 60 days, 6 months, whatever. But a lot of that's where a lot of our contraband and a lot of unsecure things were happening at our facility. And so we ended that to stop our contraband problem and to stop our secure facility from.
Gotcha. And my last question is, do we think that just if you take a department that didn't budget for lawn care, but they want the lawn, I mean, do you think that there needs to be, I guess they're answering these letters, you know, I feel like it's their budget. If they lose some, I wouldn't, if I wanted the lawn care, I would want to allot my money and move stuff around for my printers and my copiers. But what if I don't want the lawn care, you know, and we go ahead and appropriate, I guess it's not going to be spent until the work is done, the money, so it could be, go back to, you know what I'm saying? If I was over a department and all of a sudden I'm missing $600 and I didn't approve it, I guess the money gets turned back, they only pay the money when the work is done, if they choose to have it done. I mean, I'm just trying to think that through from a.
Most departments have miscellaneous expenses, right? You have a budget, a balloon to cover miscellaneous expenses, correct?
Some.
So,
Not
I mean,
all.
that should, no more than these are, I mean, we're not talking a huge amount of money for.
Now, the health department does not. It is nowhere in their budget.
Which
So-
we would,
Go ahead.
which we would bill, you know, per mowing or
Right,
per
okay,
month.
okay.
We would bill, so they would know what their bill would be. But if we back completely out, I understand it's an amount of money that maybe wasn't there, but if we back completely out, if they don't have the money to pay these prices, they're not gonna have the money to pay any prices,
Right.
because
Right.
it's gonna be twice what I'm charging, or
Right.
what the sheriff's office is charging.
Absolutely.
So is this money only moved into your budget if they accept the lawn care? Like,
Yes, I mean, and we can do it after the mowing season if we wanna do that. If we wanna keep it, if we wanna keep a tab and do it all at once, we don't have to do it every month. I mean, we can do it all at once, and
No,
all
I
I'm
think-
asking is put it back into part-time so that I can pay the part-time help, and I don't run short at the end of the year on my part-time money.
No,
That's
if-
what I'm afraid is gonna happen.
if
'Cause
they
I-
accept it, then they're accepting that we're gonna spend $900, like the library, for instance, that's a
Mhm.
terrible example, or the health department is gonna spend $600, they're accepting that they're gonna take that out of their budget. So it's on them, correct?
That's what I'm just making it, they accept it and say, okay, I have this money, I'm agreeing to take this out of my budget. Because I've talked to a few of them that have no excess. And again, I'm not against this, I think he's being, you know, I just wanna make sure that there's an acceptance so they decide. And I get what you're saying, if they wanna have someone else do it, you know, I wish we were in a wonderland where we had all kinds of money and we could all, I mean, ideally, just do stuff for each other. I mean, I think that's going on between fixing stuff and stuff, I like that. Everyone's hit hard, you know.
Well,
So
I would
know
have, I would have to say, if we approve this ordinance, it is only to the fact that the organizations that are listed here have to approve to do this. The court is not telling
Yeah, that's
these
what I'm-
organizations,
yes,
this is what you're gonna spend.
Yeah, I
That-
don't-
That we're not doing. We can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't wanna do that.
No, this is a voluntary thing on them.
If you approve
That's what I
this
did, he sent a letter
ordinance,
out.
this money will go into these budgets. Now, whether they have him do it or not, it's up to them.
Could we wait and do an appropriation when we know who all's gonna agree to it?
That'd be
Would
great.
that be
I'd
okay?
say we table this until we know that then.
And that way, they've made their decision, and I think it's a good, yeah.
I'd like to make a
That's fine.
Yeah,
motion.
and that way,
I second it.
that we table it.
So if we table this till next month, we're
Yes.
gonna have a lot of grass growth between now and then.
Oh, that's true too.
Can you still mow?
help us out.
That's true. You're right, Dale.
It just needs,
Go ahead.
it's
Go
the
ahead.
way that it's written.
If Dennis doesn't mind if I come up here with him, because I sent the letters out, and we did give them ample time to respond, and only one responded with a negative. We haven't heard anything from anybody else. So if they have come and talked to any of you guys, we don't know about it.
I
So
think
the
that-
only one that came to us was the senior center, and they thanked us for the service, but they said they had gotten volunteers to take care of their yard, and they said, and if in the future they need our services, they'd be more than happy to help us. We haven't heard anything back from anybody else except for the health department. They did say they didn't have the money in the budget, and that was the last we heard from them. So having said that, I don't know where y'all got these names, or did y'all talk to them, or did they come to talk to you guys? I don't know, because they didn't come through us.
I talked to the library, and they're having volunteers doing it, and I think that they thought if they just didn't respond to the letter, they just weren't accepting the service. I'm not speaking for, but that was my understanding from the meeting.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure, I think it would head off any, and I agree with the grass mowing, I'm not trying to push off everything. If I was a department head though, and I had decided I didn't want it, and it was forced on me, I wouldn't like that.
Right, and the letter did say, let us know if you don't want this service. So, I mean, the letter was pretty clear. And like I said, 2 of them responded back, and we hadn't heard anything from anybody else. So technically, we shouldn't be mowing any of them.
Yeah, do we assume that they're?
Because nobody has sent back and said, yeah, we want it, so,
I mean, we did come to the Annex.
Right.
It was getting
yeah.
pretty
As a
strict.
point, as a point of order, we're discussing the main topic, and we need to get back to discussing, because it was motion to table this.
Yeah, but we need to, the one you just brought up brings another issue into the fact of that if these people who want this done, then we need to do something to be able to allow him to go ahead and do those, because we don't want our county looking rough and
Yeah.
overgrown and.
I'd like to relinquish my table for this. If you-
Okay. So that has been withdrawn.
Yes.
So back to original discussion.
All right. Yeah, and like I said, if there's only been 2, is that correct? Only been 2 that's come back that said, we'll do it?
We won't.
We won't do it?
The only 2 that I have heard back from was the health department and the senior center. That
Say
said
they
that
don't want to do it.
They did not want the
Okay,
service.
and you've heard from nobody else, and what was your timeline for them to get back?
I'd have to look at the letter, but we had a specific date
It was a
on it.
couple of weeks.
So-
I didn't reply because it wasn't in the individual line items.
Right.
But that's what this is doing.
But the letter said to reply if you want the service, right?
It says we were offering the service, let us know what you wanna do.
Okay.
Okay.
So ours is just verbal.
Well, a lot of these are under review.
Right, a lot of them.
Okay.
So which ones are under you, and can you say
The
that
ones who
right
will,
now?
the ones who will be under me are the community center, the courthouse annex, animal shelter. Well, actually, that would be,
You and the city.
yeah, that would be a joint effort. The district court would pretty much be under me and solid waste. The solid waste, there's not much to that. I think we could,
Yeah.
a weed whacker would take care of that one.
So the library, do we know the library's for sure out?
Philip is back there, I guess.
I'm trying to negotiate and ask the friends of the library if they might be able to raise the funds, because like we discussed yesterday in the board meeting, yes, I'm very grateful we have volunteers, but we're always gonna have prisoners, and we're not always gonna have volunteers. It is a cheap service. Hopefully the friends will help us out on that, because we're trying to cut their expenses.
So you need more time to decide.
Negotiate with the friends of the library, they kind of control that part. Yeah, hopefully we'll be,
So are you saying that you think you'll take the service or?
I think, well, yeah, I think we will, because I don't wanna rely on volunteers. I brought more blue up last year, I pushed more, and I don't wanna push more below.
Okay.
Yeah, great, sure, great. And the health department's already said no, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but sure.
Oh, yes, sir.
Just spoken from the Friends, actually, I'm vice president of the Friends. This is the first I've heard about this, so I'm a little bit, I'm not against what we're discussing, it's just a little bit blindsided by it.
Are you, since you're, this, five out of the 8 are yours.
What,
talk to us.
Here is what, I'm trying to figure out the way to explain it. We're increasing revenues in one to appropriate the expense into another. That's within county general for the most part. It is simply, it is simply moving around. It's like,
I got you now.
for Father's Day, have you ever given your kid $20 to go spend something, or for Christmas, to buy a gift for yourself? That's pretty much what you're doing. You're giving someone $20 to buy a gift for you.
It's a shuffle.
It is, it's for.
I like that better than wash.
I agree.
But this money, that if you agree for these 5 facilities to be mowed, is coming out of county general.
It would be anyway.
Yeah, but we don't have the money in county general.
That's where it's coming from anyway. You're increasing from what to what? You're increasing from county general to county general.
Yeah.
It's a shuffle.
It's not a good shuffle.
That's fine. We have you guys to control the purse. Is there any other discussion? Roll call vote.
I do have something.
Okay.
I do have something. I mean, because of the way this is written, whether it's approved and or denied, there is some on here that don't want the service. So,
Y'all
how,
can vote to amend it.
okay, because I mean, we know the library and, what is it, health
Health
department?
department said no.
He thinks the library
He
might.
thinks that they might.
They might, but it may not have to go through
Yeah.
us.
Tell you
It's
what,
going through-
just because you guys vote to appropriate it doesn't mean the money has to be spent if they find another way around it. So,
So it's not being moved?
So if they change their mind and they don't actually have the lawn mowed, they don't have to pay that money out, and it really stays in their budget, to a certain extent.
but by this ordinance, it's moved for lawn care, so if they don't spend
It'll
it
be
for
in
lawn
that,
care.
in that line item for lawn care,
But
so
could it be moved back? Is there a mechanism to move that back?
that move back to.
Run lawn care to their
General?
General fund.
their miscellaneous cost budget?
You would have to approve
That
that through a
department?
transfer.
Right,
They would have, yeah, they would.
but we
bring
could
it.
transfer it back.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not really increasing revenue with it, I mean, that's,
Well, I can understand the county general, but some of this is not county general.
Correct.
And I don't wanna, I'm just not really ready to approve of it.
Well, but we're not gonna leave solid waste and library on there. The rest is county general. Health department is our part.
No, health department's on. They need this.
They need the money, okay.
They need the service, but they don't have the money.
Correct.
So you're,
who
it's
takes-
all county general now.
Except for the library.
Except for the library.
No, cause if they take care of it, it will be friends from the library.
So
Of
I'm
the
saying that if we
library.
approve this, then we move this money into the library fund. Not,
No, I'm talking about if you amend it to take these two off.
well, that's what I will do.
So make a motion that we amend this appropriation to strike the 2 health department and the solid waste.
No.
I mean, library and the health department.
No. Library and solid.
Library and solid.
Library and solid waste.
I thought solid waste was yours.
It
Oh, you're gonna
is.
take it off, you can do that. Okay, I got you.
So,
Solid
if the
waste,
li-
I got you.
Okay, and if the library decides to do it, then we have to do,
Well,
The friends of the library will pay.
there'd actually,
if they approve.
there'd actually be 3 of them, because health department doesn't want to do it.
Yes, they do, they just need the money.
The health department there is no money anywhere in their budget for any type of lawn care. So we would have to appropriate it for them to be able to.
Because they didn't have a lot of miscellaneous at all.
No.
Who's second, Lemings?
They were pretty much penny for penny.
Okay. So we have an amendment to
Dale.
amend off.
Philip,
Yes.
If I do raise the money for the library to pay, do I make it payable to Van Buren County, do I make it to the sheriff's office? How do we handle it? It's a question on how we even pay it.
You would pay Van Buren County Sheriff's Office.
We go to the sheriff's office, and then we would send it through the treasurer's office to be appropriated back
Make
in.
it payable to Van Buren County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, then we would ordinance it back in part-time.
so Philip, would you like to remain on this, the library remain on this or not?
No, I'm gonna try to raise the money.
Okay, okay.
Doesn't change the proof.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend off the library and solid waste for a total of $1,800. That would be amended down.
Okay.
So what was there is no There was no total on
No, there was no total.
Okay. Do I hear a second? I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second to eliminate off this list the library and solid waste. Roll call vote.
Holt?
Yes.
Nikki?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
This is up here. Linn?
Yes.
Bradford?
Yes.
Tatum?
Yes.
Lemmings?
Yes.
Bass?
Yes.
Amendment passes. Now we're back to original ordinance.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion
Yes.
before we call for vote?
Where's all this money coming from? The $600, where's it coming from to the health department? They don't have it.
So I said you're moving around almost what?
I know, but we're taking out of county general, which we don't have any extra money in county general for anything.
You're taking money from county general to give to the health department to turn around to give back to county general.
To go in the sheriff's budget.
Yes. Yes.
Taken from county general, given
You're
to
still
the,
spending that money.
yeah, we're still spending $600.
But it's not the sheriff's
You're not.
department's responsibility to pay to mow their, I mean,
I understand that.
yeah,
What
the
I'm-
money,
What I'm saying is, we're spending $600 out of county general that we don't have to spend. We just don't have it. You're gonna take it out of county general, to put it back in county general, to give it to the sheriff's department, and we don't have it. I mean, he's sent a letter out to all the department heads, telling them they're gonna have to look at cutting their budgets, they're gonna have to look at cutting other things, and we may have to cut personnel because of the way the budget's going. And next year, it doesn't look any better. I mean, we're getting to some serious times here.
But when you cut $289,000 from his budget and you're worried about $600,
Hey, listen, I applaud him for doing that. If he hadn't have done that, we'd still be in a pickle.
right, but now you're trying to put more of a bind on his
No,
office.
What I'm telling him is, he don't have to do this.
no, but if he doesn't do it and they don't have the money to pay anyone else, then it doesn't get done.
They're gonna have some tall grass.
I don't want our county looking like that.
All I'm trying to make sense of is, how can we appropriate money that we don't have?
Taylor.
Fred and Billy, bodyguards.
Fred and Billy can. Fred and Billy are tied to work that's gonna be done for a historical grant that we are under a time crunch on. And I have already signed off on making them available for nothing more than construction work to be our in-kind donation for the historic grant to rewire the downtown courthouse. So that will take them out of commission for 4 to 6 weeks.
Now, you other members of the court, explain to me if I'm being a turd, you know?
You are.
But, and explain to me where we're gonna get the money.
I don't think you're being a turd, and I think,
I agree with you. Here comes-
Okay, whoa. Order. Everyone can speak, let's just do it one at a time. Go ahead. I mean,
You cut your offer in half like normal lawn services offer, right? So if we turn this down like community center, they're gonna pay $1,040 to get their grass cut.
Not my problem.
Or let it grow.
It's not our problem.
Well, it's a county problem.
it's a county
Like Bert was saying, we don't want the county look like this. I
It's
mean,
our problem.
We gotta have some,
He'll mow it,
what?
he'll mow it.
This is half of what everybody else wants to do it for.
I
mean, it's gonna
understand.
be done.
Do you understand where the money's coming from?
County general.
Got it.
Do we realistically have anyone else, I mean, just in thinking and practicality, that could do it? An employee, and I'm not saying that that's the optimal thing, I'm just, because if we don't have someone else,
Well,
how do we get it done? And I respect what you're saying.
didn't we say after we approved our budget that we weren't spending any extra money
we
this year?
weren't, some of us were not here for that. Maybe we should just put it to a vote.
Yep.
But this is something that has to be done.
I understand.
It has to be done.
And I get where your concern is, you can't,
Can't get blood out of a turnip.
I get that, but it'll
Yeah.
work out, it'll all work out.
But he is a county. I mean, we're taking out of one bucket, and putting in another bucket.
Yeah.
It's just like giving your kids $20 to go buy you a Christmas present, I mean, or
Let's vote.
Father's Day. Kinda.
Let's go ahead and call this for a vote. Ready? Roll call vote.
Holt,
No.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Tatum,
No.
Lemings,
Yes.
Bass.
No.
5-4, 3 against.
Appropriations are, they're not a simple majority. 1, 2, 3, 4. With 5 yeses, that would, well, it takes 6, and it's of the total number, it's not of those present. So motion, I believe motion fails. Motion fails. It would be, pardon me?
You have to have 6.
We would have to have 6 because it's of the entire number, not just those presents.
Yeah, Mary's not here, so.
Right. Okay. You have before you the transfers. Would y'all like to read those, or would, at this time, I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules to dispense with the audible
I'll
reading.
entertain a motion to suspend the.
Second.
It's been motion and second to suspend the rules to dispense with the audible reading of the transfers. Roll call vote. Or any discussion?
Yes. Are all these coming out of your budget?
This first page is from mine to mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
Okay.
second page?
From Sheriff's Office to Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, okay.
Vote on suspension?
Holt,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Tatum,
Yes.
Lemings,
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Rules are suspended. Do I hear a motion to approve the transfers?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer.
Second? Second. It's been motioned and second that we approve the transfers. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Transfers pass. Any other discussion before we adjourn? Entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? We're adjourned.